So in a previous video where I was talking about the Mandela effect, because they changed the smoking age in Pennsylvania a couple of years ago without me or anyone else I know hearing about it. And I don't smoke. It's just that that's a pretty big law in the United States, because well, I thought it was a federal law across the board. I actually didn't realize it was a state by state thing, or that the states had the ability to override perhaps whatever the federal thing is. Anyways, it's just I assumed I would hear about such a thing. So I was wondering if perhaps this was an example of the Mandela effect, because I've been noticing quite a bit of this. And then I got some questions about, what's the Mandela effect? So it's an effect named after Nelson Mandela, where some people remembered him dying and some people remembered him being released from prison. So some people remembered him dying in prison. I think that's what it was. It was something like that, though. So it's just the perception of certain amounts of society that things were one way before and is now different. Whether that's the spelling of a brand of something that everyone remembers. And, then there's a whole debate on whether this is just that people can't remember things clearly, or is this the Mandela effect? Are we actually shifting timelines? So my experience of the Mandela effect and my, opinion on it is, to understand it, you have to move away from the perception that we're all on the same ride, that we're all in the same story, because we're not. There are lots and lots and lots of stories going on. There are all sorts of perceptual realities being experienced in what we call Earth, okay? And out of those that say Earth, there are vast timelines which are so different and discordant from what any of us that are hearing me or that I'm talking to in any possible way would call reality. And those we will separate. Out of those realities, which are congruent enough in all the big details that we wouldn't notice right away that we're in any kind of different place, okay? Those all are being experienced by different people right now, and we are streaming those together into what we call this timeline. See, it's not actually that you and I are on the exact same timeline stream. I'm shifting timelines all the time. How could that be possible? You're shifting timelines all the time. How could that be possible? So daily almost, I notice that things are suddenly different, because I am shifting timelines all the time. So again, it is that the larger details are similar enough between the timelines you're shifting in and the timelines I'm shifting in, or the timelines that you and I are in right now are in enough congruency that we can be considered to be in the same timeline. And the timeline you shift into next and the timeline I shift into next will be in congruence enough that we could be considered to be in the same timeline. However, that need not be. If you diverge, or if I diverge enough, then I will separate from your stream. So my perception of all this is that the ascendant collective that's what's happening here. We are all keeping our streams and vibrations in enough consistency that we can be considered a collective. And then we are harmonizing those things more and more with each other, because love, unconditional love, is a very specific timeline. Like when all things in your reality become unconditionally loved exactly as they are, truly, not just out of a mental decision to do such, but truly for what they are loved. This puts you into a particular stream of nonlinear time, this starts to move you into the fifth. So in that way, we are moving to the same destination. So it doesn't exactly matter what stream you're on or what stream I'm on, because we're moving to the same point. You see? See, the ego and our senses are registering a consistency here, a continuousness, a continuum of time and being and reality, which is not there. There is an ever-shifting landscape around you, an ever-shifting landscape that you're sitting in the center of, including the expression of the body and all that you call the personality. This is an ever-shifting landscape also. And blessed be that it is, because you are always moving into new timelines. And for you to be in harmony with the current timeline that you're in completeness, means to let go of any stories that are not in harmony with that. See, you may be believing in the personality through a certain remembrance that certain events happened in the past. However, those events may have been obliterated from the current timeline you sit in. And so in fact, they are illusion, held only within the ego. Your belief, for instance, in your own lacks, in your own shortcomings, in your own weaknesses, held from a memory of past events which no longer exist in the reality you find yourself in. These are unreal. Another way to understand this is to think of a time-lapse photo of a tree or a plant growing, and you can see how much movement is actually there. And yet you walk by that tree or plant every day thinking it is the same tree. It is not the same tree. The leaves are arranged completely different. The bark has changed. All of it has changed. Every person you see, you register that's the same you. You may register some difference, but you're not registering the rest of the difference. There's a totality of difference in this expression from moment to moment. It is our mind that draws the similarities, keeps things in place to provide the story, the backdrop of experience. Those that are in your life and part of your story individually are there to add stability to your story and to work all these things out. But it is them that are holding the timelines in place enough with you, that you feel a sense of stability to your reality. You don't realize how divergent some of the other realities are on the earth. And if we just stop and think about the stories we are told, the stories we hear on earth, and we can start with the ones that everyone accepts as true, like warfare, torture, murder, and also fantastical things, winning the lottery and amazing events and all these things, right? These are all stories of very different realities people are having here on Earth, or what we call Earth. And then there are all the stories that the rational people discount as fabrications, which are actually real experiences for the most part. Of course, there are liars. And what's funny is that a lot of those who are lying or making up fantastical stories, or at least in some circumstances, they are actually experiencing those in other divergent realities and seeing an echo of it here, or caught on to an echo of it. So, but then if we go into, the more fantastical stories of encounters with supernatural beings and angels and UFOs, and we start to really, if we start to accept other people at what they're saying, at least accept that they have experienced what they say, then we start to get a huge picture of divergent realities here on what we call Earth. And some of these people, some of these personalities, are leaving these realities altogether. This is happening all the time. Souls are coming and going all the time. We're not all in the same story. Some souls, some personalities, decide to take a left turn from where they are right now, or a right turn into a completely different reality. And you may, like those that know that soul or personality, may have the illusion that they are continuing on with that same soul or personality. Because if that's what your timeline needs, then that's what will be created for you. However, from that individual's experience, they may have completely departed. So there are no rules for any of you. And all of that was to try to explain timelines and the Mandela effect, so I hope I did any of that. And love and light to all of you.